It's the last day of Booktubeathon. I've finished all the challenges except to read 7 books, so I'm gonna be reading the next volume of Fruits Basket, and I think that's it because it's already 4:30. It is so hot today that I'm just not interested in doing things. I just want to be like a potato. So I'm gonna read this and eat a popsicle because I need something cold, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might read more. The thing about readathons and reading lots is that it makes you want to read more, or at least me. So I might just read more. I don't know. We'll see. It's so hot. It's like 25 degrees in our house. It's really hot. But I did it. I won Booktubeathon. I've read I read another volume of Fruits Basket, so that got me up to 7 books. And I completed all of the challenges, and I just feel pretty good about that. So yeah, I think I will film an official wrap-up thingy, but yeah, I did it. I'm here with my Booktubeathon wrap-up, so we're just gonna go through it day by day just to wrap it up, you know? And I'm also gonna be talking about the books that I read in more depth on my feelings, I guess, because otherwise my July wrap-up would just be a million years. So my first book for Booktubeathon was When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, and I listened to that on audio. It was narrated by Sneha Mathan and Vikas Adam, and the audiobook was really good. They did a good job. It added a lot to the story for me because they were pronouncing all these words that I don't know how they're supposed to be said. So it was really nice that I was able to hear it. But yeah, so I finished that on day 2, so it took me 2 days to listen to it. It was a very popular pick for Booktubeathon. For me, it completed the challenge of reading a book about someone that's different from myself, because the main characters, they both come from an Indian background, and I don't really know any Indian people. That's not my background, so it's very different for me. And I thought it was a really good book. It was a good YA, and it just follows these 2 teenagers that their parents have kind of arranged their marriage, and he knows about it and she doesn't, and they both end up going to this same summer program for is it coding, I think, but they end up being on a team together developing an app, and that's kind of the whole point of the program. And so it just follows them in their relationship, and it was really good. I thought it was really good and enjoyable. It kind of felt like a Bollywood movie, I guess, which is kind of the point, and they kind of talk about Bollywood movies a lot, so you can tell that the author was inspired by that, I think. And yeah, it was a really enjoyable read, really fast and fun. It had like my least favorite trope ever in movies and books and TV, and just the worst. You can ask me which that is if you don't want to be spoiled or whatever. But yeah, so that was the first book that I finished, and I really enjoyed it. The next book that I finished, I started on day 1 and I finished it on day 3. That was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. This is book 3 in the Harry Potter series. So I started up my reading of the series again, and I really enjoyed this book. It was actually my favorite so far. The movie was my least favorite of the movies so far. It was like the most aggravating book to movie adaptation I've ever seen, because they left so much information out, and it just was really frustrating to me. Like, I was so upset because I don't feel like it did justice to this book, because I really enjoyed this book. I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. It's Harry Potter. You should know. This completed the challenge for me to read a very hyped book, because Harry Potter is the most hyped thing of ever. So yeah, I liked it. Then the next book that I read was Still Waiting by Anne Swindle, and I listened to that on audio, and that was also narrated by the author. Started that on day 3 and finished it on day 4. I listened to about half each day. It's nonfiction, and it's the subtitle of the book is, no, what is the subtitle of the book? Waiting in Hope When God Doesn't Give You What You Want, or something like that. Yeah, and it just talks, kind of does a focus study on the bleeding woman in the Bible and how she was healed when she touched Jesus' robes. And then it kind of talks about how there's not a lot talked about her in the Bible, and so it's kind of speculation, but like thinking about like knowing what we know from history and context and stuff, like what her life could have been like, and then the author applies it to her life. The author has trichotillomania, I think is what it's called. She calls it trick most often, but that's a condition when you feel compelled to pull out your own hair. And so she suffers from that, and so she pulls out her eyebrows and her eyelashes. And at first that was like kind of triggering to me, I guess, because I'm very influential. But I did get over it. I didn't start pulling out my own eyebrows and stuff. Just, it was really weird the first half hour I was listening to it. I was like, this is so weird. But anyways, it's good. It's a good book. Yeah, and she just talks about like life and like emotions and stuff like that. Like, what do you do when you're waiting for God to answer your prayers, and you're waiting a long time, and you're waiting years for something that good that you want in your life, and he's not saying yes? And yeah, just was 100% a book that I needed to read right now, and I would really recommend it. It was really good. That one filled the challenge to read a book that you bought because of the cover. I borrowed it, but I had not heard of it. I had not heard of the author before. I just saw it on Amazon as a recommended book based on another book that I had bought, and then the cover is what stood out to me in the title, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll read this. And then I saw that it was available on audio for me, so then I listened to it, so that completed that challenge. The next books that I read were Fruits Basket volumes 16 and 17, which I brought back to the library already. Those completed the challenges of reading a book completely outdoors. On day 4, I went to the library with my friend, and we sat outside in the park outside of the library, and we just read, and it was really nice. It was a beautiful evening. There were no bugs. It was just the perfect evening for reading outside. So I read volume 16 completely outside. I read volume 16 on day 4, and I read volume 17 on the last day. And that was the only thing I read on the last day. And that one was read a book with a person on the cover, because they all have people on the cover. So it was really easy. The series is just like finally starting to get interesting and get towards that climax that we've been waiting for the whole time. So I'm very ready. And I actually have, you can't see it, I have borrowed the rest of the volumes from the library. So I have to just, I'm just gonna like punch them out one week, I think. Just read a bunch in a row and just finish it. I'm ready to be done and move on to something else. Then the next book was When We Collided by Emery Lord. That was a book that I read from days 2 to 6. I was reading that on ebook. It follows a girl named Vivi and a guy named Jonah. Jonah lives in this small beach town, and Vivi is living there for the summer, and it's about how they meet. And it deals very heavily with mental illness and stuff like that. It's very prevalent in the book. And yeah, if you watched my vlog, I was talking about it, how I felt that Vivi was really weird. No spoilers, but mental illness does come into play there, which I guess was obvious, but I didn't really catch on. For the most part, I liked it. Like, it was just really an okay book for me. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was just totally middle of the road. I wouldn't recommend it for younger YA readers. Like, definitely older YA. Just for some of the content. There's some sexual content, and also just dealing a lot with like mental illness and topics of like suicide and stuff. So I would recommend it for more mature readers, I guess. The people that can handle that anyways. So there was that. I finished that on day 6. Day 5, I didn't really read anything. I was listening to Journey to the Center of the Earth on audio at work. I don't even remember who the narrator was. I'd have to look it up. I was listening to it at work, and actually my comprehension level at the end of the day, I almost finished it, and then at the end of the day I realized like I actually have no idea what's going on here. So yeah, I decided not to count that as having done any reading. I guess I was just like zoning out. I should have just listened to music instead of that, because yeah, just wasn't capturing my interest. And I was kind of buddy reading that with Angela from Coffee and Chapters. She had picked it for her TBR, and I was like, I have that book, we could read it together. And I don't think either of it, like, I did go back and finish it after Booktubeathon, and it was fine. Like, it was just fine for me. It was like 3 stars. I do like Jules Verne, but that wasn't my favorite one, I guess. But anyways, Angela liked it less than I did. What are we talking about now? Yeah. So that really didn't count for anything, me talking about it either. Then the last book that I finished was Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks Dalton. This was my read a book in one day challenge, and I just read it all day. It was so good. This was a perfect book to read in one day, I think. And then when we collided, that completed the 7th book challenge, even though I did finish that after this, actually, but whatever. This is a mess. I'm sorry, guys. This is a post-apocalyptic story, but it's told from 2 different points of view. One of the main characters is a researcher in the Arctic Circle, and he has been left at this research base all alone. And then the other main character is a woman on a space shuttle back from the first manned mission to Jupiter. And so they're both in these really isolated situations when something happens. We're not told what happens, but something happens, some kind of emergency, and after that all of communication is lost. And so they're just trying to, you know, get back in contact with other people and find out what happened. So yeah, this is I still can't talk about it. It was so good. Like this, if you like Station 11, you should read this. For me, it was just really good. It felt like more of that need that I always have. You know, I need to read books like Station 11. So this was a good one. And this cover, I can't. It's one of those very quiet stories, more reflection on the characters and like reflecting on their lives and stuff as opposed to like things happening. But I like that. The writing was beautiful. I loved the writing. I would gladly read anything else that Lily Brooks Dalton writes. There were just things that she did, especially towards the end of the book. I was like, whoa, girl, yeah. Just like, I did not see it coming, and then it came, and I was like, oh, yes, that's brilliant. Like, that's always a good feeling to have when you're reading. It's just like, oh, yes, I like that you did that. Like, I don't know. But yeah, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I really liked it. I was reading it all day, and then on Saturday, and then we have church services on Saturday and Sunday morning, and we decided that we were going to go to church on Saturday. And so I had like not even 2 chapters left, and then we went to church. So like almost finished it before church, and then I had to wait until after church, and then we went to have supper, and then I could come home and finish it. And I was just like, oh man, like torture the whole time. But yeah, this book is really good, guys. And like, look at these covers. I had this sitting here for my wrap up, but like, look at them. Oh, they look so good together. I like it. I should start like a space covers shelf on Goodreads or something. I don't think I have enough on my actual shelf. Yeah. So those are the books that I read for Booktubeathon. I had a really good time. I should show you. This is my bullet journal spread that I did for Booktubeathon. I'm really proud of it. I posted a few pictures of it on Instagram, so you may have seen it already. I was keeping track of the Instagram challenges. I only did it twice. Total pages read 2,183 in a week. Like, good job, Felicia. And this was my list of the challenges. So then as I completed the challenges, I would just fill it in with the title of the book. And then here I was keeping track of how many pages I read every day. It was my smiley face for day 5 when I didn't really do anything. That was such a bizarre day. I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, what even? That's my wrap up for Booktubeathon. I hope you have enjoyed my vlogs if you watched them. And my wrap up, maybe you just came here from my July wrap up because you wanted to know the rest of the books that I read. I love Booktubeathon. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite. So that's all that I have for today. If you participated in Booktubeathon, I would love to know how that went for you. This is the second year in a row that I have completed all the challenges, so I feel very good about that. Would love to know your thoughts about anything in this video, and I thank you very much for watching. And so until next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.